All right, let's jump right in, folks. Ready for a deep dive into the world of Jeff Bezos?
Always up for a good origin story.
Well, get ready because this one's a wild ride. We're talking Amazon, space travel, billions of dollars, maybe even trillions someday.
And a few controversies along the way, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. But that's what makes this so fascinating. We're using excerpts from his Wikipedia page, so we'll be digging into all the twists and turns.
Wikipedia, the ultimate source for, well, pretty much everything these days.
Seriously, it's like a rabbit hole of information.
Yeah.
But that's our job, right? To sift through it all and bring you the good stuff.
The juicy bits, the aha moments, and maybe even some things you didn't know about Bezos.
Exactly. So where do we even begin with a guy like Jeff Bezos?
Well, I think it's important to start with his roots. Understand how this science-loving kid from Albuquerque turned into, well, Jeff Bezos.
Oh, the guy didn't just magically appear at the helm of Amazon one day.
Not at all. He actually spent his early years moving around a bit. Albuquerque, Houston, Miami. His parents divorced when he was young, and his mom remarried a Cuban immigrant who adopted him.
Wow, so pretty diverse upbringing.
Definitely. And throughout it all, his curiosity and love for science really shone through.
Okay, but we're not just talking baking soda volcanoes, right?
No. We're talking rigging alarms to keep siblings out of his room kind of stuff.
Okay, I see where you're going with this. The early signs of an innovator, maybe?
Maybe, or just a really clever kid who wanted some peace and quiet. But it's clear he had this drive, this need to figure things out.
And let's not forget his fascination with space. I mean, we'll get to Blue Origin later, but that passion started early.
Absolutely. From a young age, he was devouring books about space travel, dreaming of rockets and distant planets. It's almost like he was destined to become a space entrepreneur.
All right, so we've got the curious kid, the science enthusiast, the future space traveler. But this is Jeff Bezos we're talking about, the guy who built an empire. So how did he get from there to, well, Amazon?
Well, his academic record gives us some clues. This was no ordinary student. We're talking valedictorian, National Merit Scholar, Princeton graduate with degrees in electrical engineering and computer science.
Okay, so the brains were definitely there, but did he go straight from the Ivy League to starting Amazon?
Not quite. First, he headed to Wall Street, which, let's face it, isn't exactly known for fostering space exploration dreams.
True, but you got to pay the bills somehow.
Exactly, and he did quite well, actually. He climbed the ranks at various firms, becoming a senior vice president at D.E. Shaw by the time he was 30.
Wait, 30? Senior VP?
Yeah, the guy was on a fast track. But something tells me that the world of finance wasn't going to hold his attention for long.
You're probably right. I mean, we know how this story ends. So when did the Amazon light bulb go off?
Picture this. It's 1994, and Bezos comes across a statistic that basically changes the course of his life. The internet is exploding, growing at 2,300% a year.
Well, hold on. 2,300%. That's insane.
Absolutely insane. And for Bezos, it was a sign. The internet was the future, and he wanted to be a part of it.
So he just up and quit his Wall Street job.
Pretty much. He saw this massive opportunity and decided to take a leap of faith. He packed up with his wife at the time, Mackenzie Scott, and they hit the road for Seattle.
Road trip. But they weren't exactly heading for vacation, were they?
Nope. Bezos was already cooking up the Amazon business plan during that cross-country drive.
Talk about ambitious. But starting a company takes money, right? Especially one that aims to revolutionize, well, everything.
It does, and that's where his parents come in. They believed in his vision enough to invest $300,000.
$300,000. That's a serious vote of confidence.
It was a huge risk. Bezos himself admitted that there was a 70% chance that Amazon would fail.
So starting in a rented garage, armed with his parents' money and a whole lot of ambition, Bezos took on the world.
And the rest, as they say, is history. But it wasn't all smooth sailing.
Oh, I bet there were some bumps along the way.
Oh, yeah. Remember the dot-com bubble burst? That nearly took Amazon down with it.
Ouch, yeah. That must have been a stressful time.
It was. They faced near bankruptcy, had to close distribution centers, lay off employees. Tough decisions, for sure.
So what got them through it? How did Amazon survive when so many others crashed and burned?
Well, that's where Bezos's vision and resilience really come into play. But to be honest, that's a story for another time. I think a big part of it was that Bezos wasn't just reacting to the dot-com crash.
He was already thinking 10 steps ahead.
Yeah, like while everyone else was panicking about the bubble bursting, he was already laying the groundwork for Amazon Web Services.
AWS, right. The cloud computing giant.
Exactly. It's hard to believe it came out of such a chaotic time.
So he saw the potential of cloud computing when everyone else was just trying to stay afloat.
Bezos has always had this knack for seeing the bigger picture, thinking long term.
And not being afraid to take a gamble, even when things are looking rough.
Absolutely. By 2003, Amazon was turning a profit again.
Proving that his strategy, his resilience, it all paid off.
And let's not forget about the Kindle. Talk about revolutionizing how we read.
Launched in 2007, totally changed the game.
It wasn't just about selling books anymore. It was about changing how people access information, entertainment, the whole deal.
Bezos was obsessed with creating this seamless, immersive reading experience.
Taking something physical, a book, and making it digital accessible to anyone.
And then in 2013, a major turning point. Amazon lands a $600 million contract with the CIA.
Not for books, not for Kindles, but for AWS.
Talk about a power move. Even the government was relying on Amazon's technology.
It was a huge validation for AWS, solidified its place in the tech world.
Bezos had built something truly massive, but his ambitions didn't stop there.
Oh no, not even close. Enter Blue Origin, the space venture.
His childhood dream of space travel, finally coming to life.
Founded in 2000, and his vision was, well, huge.
Not just space tourism, he's talking colonizing space, harnessing its resources.
He even floated the idea of turning Earth into a giant national park.
Now that's a bold idea, sending humans to space to preserve Earth.
Almost sounds like science fiction, doesn't it?
It does. But it also makes you think about the future, our relationship with this planet.
Bezos thinks on a different scale, not just next quarter's profits, but the next century, the next millennium even.
Speaking of thinking big, he bought the Washington Post in 2013.
What do you make of that move? Was it just a billionaire's whim?
Or something more strategic?
It definitely raised some eyebrows.
I mean, Bezos, the tech innovator, buying a traditional newspaper.
But he saw the potential, the value of a respected institution like the Post.
And let's be real, it's a powerful platform, especially in the digital age.
It gave him a voice in the world of media, a way to shape the narrative.
But it also sparked concerns about conflicts of interest.
Amazon's influence, Bezos' own political leanings, it all came into play.
Did his ownership affect the Post's coverage?
Well, both Bezos and the Post's editorial board insisted he didn't interfere with their decisions.
He respected their independence, their journalistic integrity.
It was more about providing resources, letting the journalists do their jobs.
Okay, that makes sense. But let's move on to something a bit more, well, eclectic.
Bezos expeditions. Now that's a window into his diverse interests.
Like what? Give us the highlights.
He's funded everything from life extension research, think anti-aging technologies,
To recovering those Apollo 11 engine parts from the ocean floor.
Remember that. Talk about a passion project.
It's amazing pulling pieces of history from the ocean depths.
And then there's the 10,000-year clock.
A what?
A clock designed to tick for 10,000 years, built inside a mountain in Texas.
Seriously, why would anyone build something like that?
Bezos sees it as a symbol of long-term thinking, a reminder that our actions have consequences far beyond our own lifetimes.
Makes you think about your own legacy, huh? But enough deep thoughts. Let's talk about Bezos' public image.
Oh yeah, he's had quite the transformation over the years.
From frugal tech geek to, well, buff billionaire, he's become a pop culture icon.
Remember those early pictures of him driving a Honda Accord, even after becoming a billionaire?
He cultivated that image. The geeky, data-driven CEO.
Laser-focused on Amazon's growth.
But in the 2010s, something shifted. He got in shape, traded the Honda for a private jet, started dressing a bit more stylishly.
Was it a midlife crisis?
Yeah.
Or a calculated change in his public persona?
As Amazon grew, so did his wealth and influence.
He went from underdog to one of the most powerful people on the planet.
His image evolved to match that new status.
But let's not forget the Saturday Night Live effect.
Those skits portraying him as this ruthless, almost comical figure.
They've become part of his public image, whether he likes it or not.
But behind the jokes, there was real-life drama. His divorce from Mackenzie Scott in 2019.
It was a very public, very messy affair.
Allegations of infidelity, extortion. It was a tabloid frenzy.
And in the end, Mackenzie walked away with a significant chunk of his Amazon stock,
Making her one of the wealthiest women in the world.
It was a difficult chapter, for sure.
But Bezos has since moved on, found love with Lauren Sanchez.
And they recently got engaged, so it seems like he's found happiness again.
Now let's talk about Bezos and politics.
He's never been shy about expressing his opinions, especially when it comes to Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, their public feud was quite a spectacle,
Trump repeatedly attacked Bezos and Amazon on Twitter.
accusing them of tax avoidance, unfair business practices, even spreading fake news through the Washington Post.
Bezos didn't back down either, criticizing Trump's policies.
Suggesting that the attacks were motivated by the Post's coverage of his administration.
It was a clash of titans, two of the most powerful figures in the world going head-to-head.
But beyond that very public spat, Bezos has actually donated to both Democrats and Republicans.
Often focusing on candidates who are involved in internet-related issues.
And he's been a vocal advocate for same-sex marriage.
Donating millions to support its legalization in Washington state.
So he's not just about business and space travel. He's willing to take a stand on social issues.
But for someone with his wealth, his philanthropic activities were, well, limited for many years.
He faced criticism for not giving more, especially compared to other billionaires.
Like Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, who pledged to donate most of their fortunes.
But that seems to have changed in recent years.
Right. He's made some significant pledges.
Like the $2 billion for homelessness and preschool education.
And the Bezos Earth Fund, a $10 billion commitment to fight climate change.
Those are some serious contributions.
It seems like he's becoming more active in philanthropy, maybe recognizing the responsibility that comes with his wealth.
He also founded the Bezos Academy, a network of tuition-free preschools for low-income families.
So he's thinking about addressing some of the world's biggest challenges.
But even his philanthropy hasn't been without controversy.
Remember that whole Saudi hacking scandal?
The one that sounds like a spy movie.
Yeah, in 2019, Bezos' security consultant accused the Saudi government of hacking his phone.
They claimed the Saudis were motivated by the Washington Post's coverage of Jamal Khashoggi's murder.
Khashoggi was a Saudi journalist who was critical of the regime.
A horrific event. And the allegations that the Saudis targeted Bezos because of his newspaper, it just added another layer of complexity.
The Saudis denied involvement, but a UN investigation found credible evidence linking the hack to them.
A chilling reminder that even the world's richest man can be targeted for political reasons.
It really makes you think about the power dynamics at play, governments, media, technology. It's a lot to process.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into Jeff Bezos' world.
His early life, his entrepreneurial journey, his evolving public persona, his forays into politics and philanthropy, even his brush with international espionage.
It's been quite a ride, a glimpse into a truly remarkable life, one that's had a huge impact on all of us.
But what does it all mean? What are the key takeaways from all this?
I think for me, what really jumps out is just how relentless Bezos is. Always pushing boundaries.
He's never satisfied with the status quo, whether it's in business or space exploration or even philanthropy.
Yeah, he's always looking for the next big thing, the next mountain to climb.
It's a constant theme throughout his life, you know?
From selling books online to colonizing space.
He's always pushing the limits, challenging the norms.
Not afraid to take risks, to bet big on his own ideas.
And those bets have paid off, more often than not.
He's reshaped entire industries, changed the way we live and work and consume information.
I mean, think about it. Can you imagine a world without Amazon now?
It's become such a part of our lives.
It really has. But of course, his success hasn't been without controversy.
Right. His business practices have drawn a lot of scrutiny.
And his wealth. I mean, it's sparked debates about income inequality, the role of billionaires in society.
It's the flip side of the coin. That power and influence.
It raises questions about accountability, about ethics.
How much power is too much for one person to have?
Yeah, it's a tough question. Bezos' legacy is complicated.
He's this visionary entrepreneur, a space enthusiast, a media mogul, a philanthropist.
But he's also been called ruthless, exploitative, maybe even a bit dangerous.
It's a lot to unpack. And it makes you wonder, what kind of impact will he ultimately have on the future?
Will he be remembered as a force for good, someone who made life better for millions?
Or will the controversies overshadow his achievements?
It's hard to say. I think the answer will depend on who you ask and maybe on what happens in the years to come.
It's a question worth thinking about, though.
Absolutely. Bezos is a product of his time, but he's also shaped our times in really profound ways.
And his story's not over yet, so it'll be interesting to see what he does next.
How he uses his wealth and his influence, and ultimately how history judges him.
Well said. He's a fascinating figure, that's for sure.
Full of contradictions, driven by ambition, but also idealism, a visionary who isn't afraid to roll up his sleeves and get things done.
I think that about wraps it up for our deep dive into the world of Jeff Bezos.
Hopefully you learned something new, gained some insights into this complex and influential figure.
It's been a wild ride, exploring his journey, his triumphs, his controversies.
And it's a reminder that even in this digital age, the human drive for innovation, for impact, it's still a powerful force.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on all this. What surprised you? What questions you're left with?
So join the conversation, share your takeaways, and let's keep exploring together.
Thanks for listening, folks.